Well, to discuss the disruption we're feeling around the planet, we're pleased to welcome India's ambassador to France, Mohan Kumar. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you very much for having me.
You represented India at the World Trade Organization in, I guess we could call, very different times. Is it the end of globalization as we know it?
I think the process of globalization is irreversible. What we are seeing is a backlash against globalization. But I'd like to say to your viewers that globalization per se is not good or bad. It is the way countries and other non-governmental actors cope with it. And I think there are many reasons why there is a backlash against globalization, but I believe one of the most profound reasons for it is economic inequality. Globalization has a way of aggravating success and accentuating failure. So it produces winners and losers, and I believe the losers have found a big voice, and that is what we are seeing.
Is that something you anticipated when you were stationed in Geneva, that there would be this backlash and that the inequality would grow to this extent?
Those of us who negotiated with WTO were aware of Joseph Schumpeter's concept of creative destruction. Any economist would know that. I think what has honestly taken us by surprise is the extent of backlash that we are seeing. We thought that this would be a gagnant-gagnant, as the French say, or a win-win game. Everybody, and that the rising tide will just lift all the boats. So what we have seen is that the wealth created by globalization, and certainly countries like India, but also China and others, have benefited hugely. We managed to lift a large number of people out of poverty. But I think what we did not anticipate, I believe, at least I did not, was the number of people who have lost out. And that's what we are seeing now.
And there is this siege mentality described by our correspondent in Davos. I believe Christine Lagarde, the head of the IMF, on Wednesday chaired a panel that was how to deal with an angry middle class.
You're right. I think when you look at the Oxfam report, which tells you a couple of days ago that 8 people in the world own more than 50% of the wealth, then it makes you start asking questions. So I think you will find a consensus among most right-thinking people that something needs to be done to reduce inequality. The question is, how can we get governments, non-governmental actors, the private sector, to do something in a coordinated fashion?
Do something in a coordinated fashion, and globalization, can you have, because this is what Theresa May is arguing, can you have free trade without free movement of people?
I think that's a profound point, and India in the WTO has always argued that you have the commodities and goods which are moving freely, you have finance and capital moving freely, and we argued for a long time for movement of natural persons, as we called it, movement of professionals. And it is now becoming a bit of a problem in terms of immigration concerns. But I'm still of the view that if you put the right frameworks in place, you will inevitably have to allow for a certain number of professionals to move around. Otherwise, it would be impossible to carry out the delivery of a service.
One of her senior cabinet members, Liam Fox, telling the Daily Telegraph this Thursday that negotiations are already underway with many nations for Britain to look outwards, India among the nations named.
As far as we are concerned, we have a special relationship with UK, and I will not get into the politics of that country because we respect the choice made by that country. But I tend to think in India that we believe it's an opportunity, that there is an opportunity, and globalization itself has provided opportunities for India. And the question is how to achieve inclusive economic growth by reducing the disruption caused for the disadvantaged classes, and to see if you can get the benefits of globalization to be shared more widely among them.
Concretely, for India, what does that mean to be more inclusive?
For India, it fundamentally means that you have 1 million people who are seeking jobs every month in India. So we need to create jobs. So jobs, jobs, jobs. That is really the goal of all foreign direct investment that we are attracting into India. That is the reason why India is opening up to the world, which is why India is a great defender and a fan of globalization.
With all the upheaval we're seeing, is it going to be, Theresa May is billing this as a great opportunity. Others have doubts. Is it going to be easier or hard? I'm not just for Britain, I'm talking about for the world. Is it going to be easier or harder to do business? I mean, we've seen some pretty harsh statements by the president-elect of the United States.
I think it's hard to deny the fact that the overall economic and commercial environment has become complex. It's very difficult to say that that's become
We're
easy.
headed for stormy weather.
So we're definitely a complex world, but I think it also offers tremendous opportunities for firms which can innovate and which can think out of the box.
Mohan Kumar, many thanks for joining us here.
Thank you for having me.